Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Govs on the Go Alumni Edition, a podcast featuring alumni from the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay State University. My name is Dr. Buzz Hoon. I'm the Dean of the College. I'm also the host of the podcast. And today I'm talking with Treston Henderson, who graduated with a degree in theater back in 2020. Treston, so great to talk with you.
Yeah, it's so great to talk to you as well. How are you doing?
Very good. We did not cross paths while you were here as a student.
That's
but
right.
I've heard so many wonderful things from people about you and how you're just killing it out there. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion.
Absolutely. Me too. Me too. I'm excited.
So why don't you give everybody a life update? Where are you? What's going on right now?
So I'm currently in New York City. I live in the Harlem area. I've actually been here for about 4 months now, I believe. Well, no, not 4 months, 2 months. I moved and ever since then I've been auditioning and trying to see what's next. And it's been a journey out here.
So
New York City is way bigger than Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. You know, growing up in Tennessee, now you're in New York City. Is that sometimes surreal to you that you're now out there doing this?
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, I'm doing this. Like, I'm really in the city. I can go to Times Square in 30 minutes, things that I've seen on TV my entire life, it's like down the street. And just to see like my friends' dreams happening, my dreams happening, it's really incredible to be here. So.
Yeah. Such an adventure. And we're looking forward to talking about that. But let's go all the way back. Let's rewind the clock back to the beginning. And you were telling me you're from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And
yes.
What was it like growing up there? What do you remember? How did that growing up in Oak Ridge impact you?
Well, so growing up in Oak Ridge, it was a small town. So I was very family oriented. All of my family's there. I have 21 first cousins and 5 siblings. So like all of my family, we all grew up together. I actually started by running track. I played football, growing up. And then once I hit high school, my teacher, Miss Reagan, she said, "Treston, you're very talented. You should do the musical." And I was like, oh no, I want to run track, that's what I want to do. And she was like, "I think you should test out the musical." So I actually missed the audition. I didn't go. It was for the production of Guys and Dolls. And I was like, I don't really want to do this. So I missed the audition. And then she gave me a call back anyway. And she said, "You have to be there. Like, you have to come." And I was like, oh my gosh. So I went to the audition. I got a role. And ever since then, the rest is history. I fell in love with it. I got on stage and I sang and I was like, it's actually kind of fun. I've always sang, sang in church. Growing up, did the church plays, did the dance at church, but never did an on-stage performance until high school.
Wow. So you never went out and said, I'm going to be a performer. You never thought to yourself, step aside, let me go out in front of were you even that way with your friends?
I mean, I've always been not center of attention, but I love to perform, so either that's singing gospel music or I don't know, anything. I've always loved performing. So kind of, sort of, but never been I want to do a musical, I never thought about that.
So, I mean, and I think you mentioned that you had an early influence of someone that an actor that you saw in.
Yes.
And so can you explain that?
Yeah. So Titus Burgess.
Yes.
Actually, so in high school, my teacher, she said, Titus Burgess, he did Guys and Dolls. He did this role, representation of a black male on screen during musical theater. I was like, okay, he's doing it. All right, this is kind of cool. I said, can I do it like that? And she was like, you can do whatever you want. And so I was like,
Wow.
okay. So he was the first guy I saw do like a Broadway style performance. And so yeah, so that was my influence back then to actually do it and say yes.
So, what was the reaction from family and friends that saw what you could do up there on the stage like that?
It's funny. They all have always said, you're going to be a performer. You should go to Broadway. You should do this. And I'm always been like, no, I want to do track. So once I started, they were like, finally, you did it. And yeah, they were very supportive. My mom, she's very, very, very supportive of me. She's always taken me. She took me to my college audition. We drove from 4 a.m. to get there at 8 a.m. So we'll get there. But yeah. So they were very
Nice.
supportive, all of my family, very, very supportive.
Yeah. So then you decided to come to college. How did we get so fortunate to have you here at Austin Peay?
So it's funny. Austin Peay was actually the only school I auditioned for and the only school I applied for. And my friend Emily Stansfield, she had applied and got into the dance program. And she was like, well, just come to audition with me, and all this. And I was like, all right, why not? Well, and she's actually the reason I started dancing in high school as well. So she was like, I came, I'm doing the audition for Austin Peay. You should come and audition for the musical theater program. And I said, okay, I'll just go and do the dance program because you're going to be there. So I went, I did the dance program. I had a song, we did the dance program audition. I had a song prepared just in case. And so then they were like, do you sing? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, the musical theater auditions are in about 2 hours. You should go there too. And I was like, I'm here. Okay. So my mom is like, you're doing another one? I'm like, I guess so. So I go to the musical theater audition, and Dr. Bailey and Marcus is actually the reason that I did the musical theater audition. So I went there and I sang a song called Let It Sing from the musical Violet. And Dr. Bailey, who was the musical theater professor at the time, he he said, you have some musical experience. I was like, yeah, I've done Guys and Dolls and Oliver, the only two shows. And he said, you're talented. You should try this out. And I was like, okay. So I got accepted into the musical theater program. And I've always wanted to go to college. In high school, I was like, I don't want to apply. It's too much work. So I applied to Austin Peay. I got in, and then I got into the musical theater program. And I actually didn't declare a musical theater major into the second semester, because I was like, I don't know. I just want to be here. I just want to go to college and see what it's like.
Hmm.
And I got there, did the audition, and I got the lead in the musical, the first musical,
Your freshman
um,
year?
my freshman year. And
Holy
then,
cow.
yeah, and then from then on, I was like, I'm gonna major in musical theater. I think I can
Okay.
do this.
Well, first of all, thank you, Emily. I don't even know
I
who
know,
Emily
right? Yeah, Emily Stansfield. Thank you so much.
is. And so you come here. What was the first thing you got?
It was Billy in the musical Anything Goes.
Okay.
So that was the first, and it was like I think I had like 300 and something lines. I was like, and I have to memorize all of this.
So
But
was this your first kind of experience into, okay, you're going to have to take singing lessons, you're going to have to take dance. Well, you already talked about you were involved in dance, but this is maybe some dance things that you had not
yeah,
learned how to do.
absolutely. Yeah. So I started, dancing with tap, and then I did a ballet class, um back in high school, but it was like not super super intense training. It was the dance studio. You go, you learn your technique, you learn a few dances, you do a dance recital, the same thing next year, which I am so thankful for. I learned a lot. But when I got to college, it's when I got to really focus on my craft and really learn different genres, modern, contemporary, different ballet, different forms of ballet. So college definitely helped um, me me build my dance experience more so. So
So how did you have time? Because I know that as a musical theater student, it seems like you have demands on your time, but how did you fit in time for anything else? And but what were you doing?
yeah, during school or during
Yeah,
high
during
school.
school. What other things? Because I think you listed that you did some other things
Yes.
while you're here too.
Yeah, so I was the tour guide actually. So I did the morning shift.
Okay.
So I think I did the 8 a.m. tours. I believe I did the 8 a.m. tours, and then I was done around 11. But then I went to class, and then I went to voice lessons and right into rehearsal. And so that's how I did that. And I also trained the first semester of my college year, I mean, of freshman year. I trained with the cheerleaders. And so
Okay.
I learned how to like tumble better. I learned how to do stunts, like foot and hand stunts. And they were very fun. It was a lot of fun. How did I do that? Oh, freshman week. I think it's called freshman week. We had like all these events going on, and the cheerleaders, they were doing a tuck line where they all do back tucks in a line. And I was like, I can do a back tuck. So I went to the end of their line and they did it, and I just did a tuck with them. It's like a dare from one of my friends. He's like, I bet you won't do it. I was like, I bet you I will. And so I did it. And they were like, yo, do you cheer? Do you cheer? I was like, no, but I tumble. And they were like, okay, let's see what you can do. So I came to practice with them, and then I started
Wow.
learning how to tumble. Yeah,
Yeah,
better.
no, you may not have seen yourself as a performer, but everybody else
I
evidently did.
I know it's just so funny. Like I ran track for like 10 years, before I even thought about performing. I was like, I went to Junior Olympics in middle school. Like, I was going to
Huh.
go to the Olympics.
So when you're doing that the whole time, did you? I'm sure that athletic training, that background, was very beneficial to you in terms of
Yeah.
the demands, the physical demands on you.
Yeah, the it track actually it helped me a lot, but it also kind of hindered me because I was a sprinter, so I wasn't as flexible as I could have been, or as I would have been had I danced earlier on. Um, so I definitely had to like stretch more, and stretch every day to loosen up my hamstrings. But I definitely but it helped me with the stamina is the word
Mhm.
that I'm looking for. Stamina, it helped a lot.
So I know how close the students in the musical theater program are, that not only as the cohort, so the other freshmen that you may have been with at that time and you progress through
Mhm.
time, but you get to know other students and whether they're
Absolutely.
older, when you become the older student, you help younger students and how transformational that is, because I think that really helps build a character, a culture within the
Yeah.
department. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about the other students that you remember from your time here?
Yes. My freshman year, I met Jamila Hunter. She was a senior theater major at the time. And she was actually my big. So we kind of have like a big little thing where you like can go to someone who's been in the industry, been in the department for 4 years. They know a lot. And you can just go and talk to them. So I got to do that with her. And she actually got me a job in Nashville in The Wiz. She was like, come audition with me. We're gonna do this thing. I said, okay. I went with her. She booked, I booked. We got to do a show together outside of Austin Peay, which was also really cool because Austin Peay allowed us to do that. But it was after hours, but they still were like, sure, go ahead. So Jamila Hunter, she helped me a lot. She helped me train a lot because I didn't have the voice training, all of that my first semester because I wasn't a theater major. So she would, be up with me, helping me learn lines and the
Mhm.
songs to the show. Um, so that helped the big little um, organization that really helped a lot. So Jamila was really nice. Emily Seifert, she's in Nashville now as well working. She was an incredible mentor to me as well. Um, there were so many more. Patrick Pride, he's actually in New York as well. He's a dancer. He was 2 years older than me. Um, but we still connect. I think we see each other like once a week, and just go get like dinner or something, you
Oh,
know.
nice.
Yeah, so it's like Govs on the go in New York. So that's really cool. So he's up here and he's doing great things. He's performed at the Kennedy Center. I want to say he's performed at the Met Opera as well. So yeah, so Patrick's really great.
Nice. Well, during that
Yeah.
time, I'm also just thinking that at many times you probably you were competing with some of your fellow classmates for
Hmm.
positions, for roles, and you know, when it's all the dust is settled and all the roles are selected and wherever you are, you're hoping for them to do the best that they can, just as they are
Yeah.
supportive of you, and
Yeah.
because the end desires to make the best product you can for the audience, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it gets pretty intense. Especially when there's like, let's say I think we did a show company and there were only 8 roles, I believe. And so everyone's like, what do you mean there's only 8 roles in there? But there are 28 of us, you know, and we don't cast understudies, you know, so we're like, what do we do? But I will say at Austin Peay, we still, you know, went into the room together. The guys would go in and we would rehearse. We would rehearse together. We'd help each other out. The professors, they never made it feel like it's a competition. You know, they were never like, you have to be better than the other person for you to get the role, you know. Everyone was very supportive. So, and we never felt any like hard feud. You know, if someone got a role over someone else, we never did any of that,
Good.
which helped a lot. And New York is not the same, but but at Austin Peay, it was definitely more of a community.
The nights are out in New York, I'm sure.
Right, right. People are like, I have to pay rent, so
I like you and all, but I need to have that.
right, exactly, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about the professors. You mentioned a couple of them, but what other
Yes.
things along the way helped impact you?
Yeah, so professors that I had, um, Elaine, she was my top professor. I just adore her. She helped me so much. I mean, she lived in not Atlanta, Lord, she lived in Nashville, or lives in Nashville, and still drives an hour to Clarksville every day, you know, to help the students because she loves us so much. She got there my freshman year. So like we were able to do all 4 years together. She
Oh,
was able
great.
to see me grow, you know. And she would also like, although she lived in Nashville, she would still stay after class until like 6 or 7 o'clock just to help me out, you know, like with the tap step or like if I needed help with an audition, she would help me, you know, stay after. And I'm once I love something, I get super passionate about it, and it can be kind of overwhelming sometimes um, to other people because like I was kind of just throw myself on them. I'm like, look, I have an idea. I want to try it. I want to try it. I want to try it. You know, and she was always there to support me with my crazy ideas.
Hmm.
You know, because as an artist, the worst thing someone can do to us is not support us. You
Right.
know, and I just felt so much love and support from her and all my professors, but her specifically was just, you know. Um, and then Marcus Hayes, he helped me so much. He's like Marcus is like my theater dad.
Hmm.
um, I can call him whenever I need. He pushed me. He was probably one of the hardest professors on me. I remember freshman year, he was like, Tristan, if you don't want to do this, then you might want to leave. It's that simple. You know, and it's like, huh? But now I'm in New York and I'm like, oh, this is not a game.
Right.
You know, like you're not telling me to leave the school, you're not telling me to leave the part. You're saying if you do not want to be an artist, you need to find something else to do. That's it, you know. Because a lot of people talk about backup plans and oh well, I'm gonna have a backup plan. I'm gonna have a backup plan. If you have a backup plan, you'll use it. You know, you'll fall back on it. You know, so I'm like, I don't have a backup plan. I know where I want to go, you know, but I don't have a backup plan. I know it's going to work, and it's been working ever since I left college. You know, I left
Right.
college and I booked a national tour. So so Marcus was the reality. He really made me see reality. which I needed.
Yeah, and that's Marcus Hayes for you. I mean, he finds a way,
Exactly.
whatever, and it does. It's I'm sure it's not the same thing that he's done for other people. Some
Yeah.
people need to have
Yeah.
a different touch, but he's always there
Absolutely.
for him.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and that's it's good you say that. Like, to another student, he has to be one way, and then to me, he has to be this way. It's just the versatility of the professors that we have over there in the theater department. It's amazing. So
So, is there a time within the time you're here that you sort of recognize and you said, I think I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, like you
yeah,
said, without a backup plan, without a
yeah,
net. I'm gonna go out there, and I know I can have a future in this field.
yeah. My sophomore year, actually, the end of my sophomore year was when I realized I could do it. I was like, I can go far in this, I believe. Because there's a thing called SETC, which is the
Mhm.
Southeastern Theater Conference. And Austin Peay is invited to go, but students have to audition. So you audition and you get a slot if you make a certain number. Let's say it's like one to 500. People who make people who make like a score of 430 can go to the next round. But if you don't make a score of 430, then you can't go. And I think maybe me and two other people from the department, were able to pass on to the audition round, which is where you get to go and audition for like 55 different theater companies who are hiring for the summer. And so I went and I got to audition, and I got 30 callbacks. And I was like, 30 out of the 50. Like, what is happening? And I was like, I can do this. And I called Marcus and I was like, Marcus, what do I do? And I ended up booking a summer gig that year that paid. So that was my first professional gig,
You're
you
right.
know. And so, yeah. So that's when I was like, okay, I think I can do this.
30 out of about 50, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was like, I believe I can do this.
So, you go through Austin P, and after graduation, as you said, you kind of went right out guns blazing. How did that
Yeah,
happen? Can you tell everybody?
yeah. Absolutely. So it started, well, the pandemic hit, and then we, left school, but we were virtual. And actually the virtual school helped me a lot. Because we had to kind of train more because we were doing voice lessons via Zoom rather than
Okay.
being in person, So I had to look at myself in the mirror and like determine if I was straining, and my voice teacher would say, "You sound like this. Look at this, look at this." So I became a better artist within myself. Um, and then once school was out, I was home. I was bored, so I looked up a bunch of videos of different people, and I learned how to dance more and pick up choreography more. And then I started a production company called Treston Henderson Productions, and I put on virtual cabarets. So then I got to meet different artists from everywhere. Like I met people from California to New York, and I put them all together, and we just sang virtually. I put on concerts and let people watch, and seeing their talent inspired me to want to do more and want to become better, and that just brewed and brewed and brewed. I then TikTok became really big. So I posted my headshot on TikTok and I said, cast me on something and I'm bored. I'll sing a song from the show. So a girl had commented and said, anyone in Ain't Too Proud. And I was like, oh my God, I love Ain't Too Proud. Like the Temptation show. I love that. I want to do it. So I sang a song called Shout from Ain't Too Proud. I posted it to TikTok. It went kind of viral. And then a cast member from the Broadway show saw it and DM'd me and was like, have you been singing for the show? And I was like once before, but like nothing came from it. And he was like, I'm gonna send your information to casting. So he sent it to casting. I got an audition. I went to New York. I auditioned. I got told no. Then I went back, auditioned again, told no again, and then they called and they said, "Hey, we opened up a swing position for you for the show, and they want to see you one last time if you can come." And I was like, I had just booked the show, and I was like, I don't know, but I went, and then I found out I booked it. So it was a long journey to get there, but then
Yeah.
TikTok really, really helped.
But doesn't that kind of show, and hopefully our students are listening closely to this, about sometimes you got to take your destiny into your own hands?
Yeah, you have to. You have to. And when once I figured out like that I could bring a community of people together, that boosted me. Because also there were people that did the that I brought together in the pandemic that were also on the show with me. Once I walked into the room and I was like, "Oh my God, you did one of my cabarets." And she was like, "Treston." I was like, "Oh, what?" You know. So the industry is also very small. Um, and it's big, but it's very small. Once you get in New York, it's just a small little community. So yeah, definitely take things into your own hand because connections are everything, and that's in every field, I believe. It's really about who you know.
Right. Well, I hope our students hear that part of that, and realize that, and also realize that you heard no plenty of times there, and part of, I
Yes,
think, as you had mentioned, actors, of course, have to audition, and rejection is part of that process. But how do
yes,
you persevere and continue to work at your craft, and become the professional that you become?
yeah. So after hearing so many no's, you kind of have to remember why you do it.
Mm.
Um, I do it to inspire because I was inspired. I know that's a cliche answer, but I actually was inspired by seeing titles on stage, just from a YouTube video. So I do it to inspire. So when I'm told no, I'm like, that's somebody else's opportunity to inspire someone. It was not for me. So I know what's for me is for me, and God's gonna make space for me to do what I can do. So once I'm told no, I just kind of brush it off. I'm like, I'm okay. I do have like little jobs that I do. Like I sing with the corporate band. I can go do a catering gig if I need to. Little cabarets here and there. So like I have different incomes, coming in that is still performing. So I'm still feeling fulfilled, while living out here. So yeah, so that's how I do it. I kind of brush it off into the right thing comes because what's for me won't pass me by.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's talk about I want to talk about your experience on Ain't Too Proud, though, because I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
was it like? Was it everything that you imagined and also much harder than you imagined?
Yes, both. It was literally everything I thought it was going to be. I saw the show back in 2019 on Broadway. Um, and I was like, I want to play every character in this show. And I was like, this is too good. So once I booked the show, I only covered 3 tracks. I was a swing, and a swing is someone who is an offstage understudy. So if anyone's sick, if they have an off day, call out, whatever, I will go into that place. So I started off only covering 3 people. I got a little down because everyone else was like 5 people, 7 people, and I was like, hmm. But then I realized I was the youngest. I was the youngest there, 23, fresh out of college. Um, not really any like Broadway professional credits on my resume, so they were taking a chance on me. And so I just went in there, I like showed them what I could do. And then once I went on for my first role, I was like, there are 3,000 people out there watching me. Like it was, and in the track that I went on for, the first time you go on, it's just like it's Shout, actually. Shout was the first track that I did. And I went on and you sing this big, wow, this whole thing. And it's like, if your voice cracks, the whole world knows. So like I was so nervous to go out, but once I hit that spot and I hit the note and it came out and I felt my cast supporting me from the wings,
Mm.
even behind me, it just felt really good. And I was like, okay, okay. So I then conquered the next 2 roles, and then traveling was also a difficult thing because we traveled every Monday. So you would be in one city for 7 days, and then you would 6 days, and you would travel on the seventh day, and then you would perform on the Tuesday. So we traveled on Monday, performed on Tuesday through Sunday, traveled again on Monday. So that kind of got difficult learning a lot of stuff, because not only was I on, but on the days that I had off, I was traveling. So I didn't really have that much time to study without being in rehearsal and already having to know it. So like I'm on the plane, like, okay, here we go, because I have rehearsal tomorrow and I should already know this, so that got hard, with traveling, but it was a really good time. I then left the tour after a year of being there. I left and I moved to New York, and I was only in New York for about 3 months. And then I booked another show that took me to California. And I was in California for 5 months, and then I went right back to Ain't Too Proud. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's just been a lot of traveling back and forth and back and forth. I love it. Yeah, and I was going to get there. I ended up covering 7 people at the end of the
So
tour,
you were I only had the fewest, but then you ended up to
having the most.
to do the most.
Yeah, and I became the dance captain as well. So the dance captain, makes sure the show stays tight, make sure all the dances are fine. I had to watch the show 3 times a week to make sure people weren't, like, I don't know, doing stuff they weren't supposed to do, or messing up, things like that. So it took on a big responsibility doing, dance captain. So
Yeah. So is there any better feeling than being on the stage like that than a live theater situation?
I don't think so. Because you can see everyone, like at least the first like 10 rows, you can like see everyone's face, and it just lights up every time someone walks on stage. I also have the honor of not being on stage, well, being a swing and not being able to be on stage every night. So I watch the audience a lot, and just watching the reactions of like
Yeah.
when someone hit a note, or if someone, did said a certain line on stage, how people's emotions could change, and how we take them out of what's happening in the world for 2.5 hours.
Right.
It's there's no greater feeling than that.
Yeah, I hope our students understand that too, as they're learning their craft, that it's people come to, be an audience member and bring in a lot of things, but they're hoping to be transported into this magical world, and how
Mhm.
appreciative we
Yeah,
are that, you
yeah,
share this ability with us to take us to that other place.
absolutely. It's so incredible, because we also go to another place. You know, it's like our because we also are escaping the world for 2.5 hours. We're just entering someone else's world.
Well,
You know.
you mentioned, I think, something about that in your notes about how
Mhm.
you take on a role and how invested I'm sure you get into the role, and then becomes an important part of your life, your own personal
Yeah.
life, but then you leave it, and that's something you're going to have to leave behind for the rest. I
Yeah.
mean, as you go on and grow in a different way.
Mhm. Absolutely. So yeah, to go into that, it's kind of like as being an actor, like evolving. It's like you're ever changing. So the older I get, they say the older you get, the more roles you can play. But that means like there are some roles that I won't be able to play, or I won't be able to dance that role anymore, just because I'm older. It
Right.
hurts to do it, or I look too old. And as actors, we also go through a period, like a time where you're the right age, but you look too young. So like they're like, we want people that are 20 to 30. I'm like, okay, I'm 26. And they're like, but you look 21. And I'm like, with my facial hair cut off, they're like, you look 21. And I'm like, well, can I grow my facial hair? Well, we don't want this role to have facial hair. And you're like, okay. And like there's also times you go into an audition and they typecast you. They look at your headshot and they're like, you don't fit the role. And you're like, okay. So you're just ever evolving, you're ever changing, but there also are roles for you, that you're evolving and changing into. So it's kind of like a double-ended sword. You're like, I can't hit it, but I'm not there yet, but I'm
Yeah.
here, but I can't go back there, you know. And then it depends on the Broadway season. So like right now, Broadway season is BIPOC heavy. We have, I think there are maybe four or five shows that are predominantly Black cast. So like this is like a good time for me to be here and be in the city because I can audition for those shows. But again, the double in the sword was I was on Too Proud while all of these shows were auditioning. So I was away on tour,
Yes.
living my dream, but I couldn't audition for the next thing because I was away.
Yeah. It's
So
about
like,
timing too.
exactly. So it's evolving in the timing. It's just also strategic, and planning.
Yeah.
But then you can't plan anything because you never know. So
And I'm sure you're working on lots of interesting things for the future that you probably can't
yeah,
talk about, but
yeah,
I know that you're putting yourself out there, and you've got all types of things that you're probably auditioning for all the time.
all the time, literally all the time. Like I think I probably have 3 auditions a week.
Okay, that's good to know. One
Yeah,
of the last things we always like to ask our guest is what kind of recommendations? Now you haven't been away that long, but it has been
yeah,
now 4 years.
yeah, absolutely. Wow. Recommendation that I have to keep going.
Mm.
Continue to like thrive and strive for greatness. I believe that people are really in your corner and people want to see you succeed. So really hang on to that. And if they don't, let it go. But keep going. Don't give up and keep the faith. You can do it.
Well, that's some great advice, and I can tell you, Treston, that the people here stock as I began the program, they have great reverence for you, and this is always
Oh,
a
thank
home.
you. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
hopefully we will see you again sometime when you're in
Yes,
between gigs.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
and so it's been so great to talk about your journey so far.
Thank you. It's so great to talk to you as well.
And thanks to all of our listeners and viewers for checking in to today's podcast. We hope that you will continue to watch and listen as we continue to profile some of the outstanding alumni we have in the College of Arts and Letters here at Austin Peay State University. So until next time, stay safe, take care, and God bless.